Generic greetings and welcome to Dune Spice Wars. Today's beverage is a very nice chilled glass of water. Technically not a beverage, however, a very, very precious resource on planet Arrakis. So welcome to Dune Spice Wars. This is a 4X strategy game set in Frank Herbert's Dune universe, which I am totally unqualified to explain because I've not read the books. I've seen both films, seen the miniseries, played several of the games, but not read the books, even though I've been around people who have read them and have been around the world for quite some time. But basically, in this context, in this game, it's several factions fighting over one planet called Arrakis or Dune because it's got a weird, mystical, wonderful resource that basically powers all of humanity. Obviously, there's a lot more facets to that and more intricacies and, quite frankly, weirdness in the Dune universe, so wikis can explain more if you want to know more. But basically, yeah, 4X strategy game set in Dune. So looking forward to this, and I've been playing it for about 5 hours now. So still a first impressions video because, after all, it is a 4X strategy game, which means you have to have a lot more hours, I think, to be able to, of course, review it fully. It's also in early access, so, you know, nothing is final, everything's subject to change. The typical disclaimers. However, I will state now that even though it's early access, and I'm recording this, I think, a day after release, even at this stage, the presentation is exceptional, so it's got that going for it, if nothing else. So I'm going to jump in and show you a little bit of the game. As always, a link's in the description if you want to check it out. This is not a sponsored video, however, I did request and receive the code from the publisher. So there's no campaign mode and there's no multiplayer mode, which is a curious decision these days, launching without a multiplayer mode. Excuse me, but we'll get onto that later on. But they are planning multiplayer, a campaign mode, and I believe at least one other faction, just to give you a bit of context there. So over to new, and we need to select our faction. We have 4 factions to select, and these are asymmetrical, so they will work very differently from one another. We've got House Atreides, House Harkonnen, or Harkonnen as I used to say, but Harkonnen is what they say in the new film, the Smugglers, and the Fremen. So a very brief example is more diplomatic, lots of fighting and oppression, just getting under your skin and smuggling and doing underworld stuff, and the Fremen have a big affinity with the desert, and yeah, they're the natives of the planet. We're going to go with House Atreides. I've played 3 of these, not yet won any of the games, I should point out. However, yeah, late game is something I've not experienced much of, but we're going to go with House Atreides because it should be an easier thing to play and show you. So, House Atreides, the stellar reputation of House Atreides owes a lot to its leader's commanding style, firm yet honourable and fair. By imperial decree, the Atreides just inherited the stewardship of Arrakis and have a lot of work to do to take over from the Harkonnens. So we have faction bonuses, so can use peaceful annexations, and we don't lose authority from treaties, etc. It's all about, like I say, working together. And then you've got different bonuses as well as we increase in hegemony, which is just an overall score. We then need to pick councillors, and you've got 4 councillors for each faction. So we've got Lady Jessica, Duncan Idaho, Gurney Halleck, etc. Sadly without Pug. But anyway, we've got these different characters, and we can select 2 of the councillors. Each one, I like the way it gives you what they do. So for example, Gurney gives us veteran military units, militia units should I say, and also military units start with extra experience. You get a little bit of a sort of blurb of what they do and an overview, and then how easy or hard it is to use that character. So for example, Lady Jessica, she can use the voice and just force people to impose treaties, which is brilliant. However, it's also hard to do because it requires influence and authority and things like that. So we're going to go with Gurney Halleck and Duncan Idaho, and all things in terms of map size and the sandworm activity, everything's on default basically. There are several, well, I think there's 3 victories available in the game. You've got domination, hegemony, and political. Basically wipe everybody out, get to, I think it's 50,000, it might actually be 25,000 hegemony, I'm not really too sure. And political is get loads of political stuff done and become the governor of Arrakis for 60 days. Anyway, start, and let's see what happens here. Randomly generated map every time, unless the pseudo-random kicks in and you actually get the same seed, which is technically possible, however very unlikely. So we start somewhere on this map. We can zoom out and see sort of the edge of the map. So even on medium, it's quite a large map. The map is split into different regions, so this is where we start. A quick rundown through the UI here. Top left, we have our events pop up, and this is a sort of half tutorial. So getting started, our priority is to set up a spice harvesting operation. We must find a village in a region with a spice field. Well, I know where one is, it's right there, so we'll get onto that later on. At very top left we have our characters, so we can select our faction progress. It shows you not just our faction progress but also the others as well, which it shows you their hegemony as well as their what's that? That is their it is the Landstrid standing. It's to do with the factions and stuff we'll touch on later on. So you can see where people are on there. Your characters, your other characters that you got, so Gurney and Duncan here, what they do. We've got the all-important spice and what we've got in terms of how much we're harvesting, what our stockpile is, and then what you're trading. So at the moment we can trade with Chom contract, which allows us to trade spice for Solari. Solari is generic units of currency. It's buying stuff. We're not going to make it too difficult because the learning curve is quite steep, although because of the presentation I must say it's very much blunted, and I do think it's relatively easy to get into. If I can get into it, and this is a person who I'm only really decent at Stellaris, anything else for X-Wise I'm fairly garbage at, so if I can get into it I'm sure most people can. We've got Solari, which as I said is buying stuff. Plastcrete is for building. Manpower is for your armies and other things like that. Fuel cells is for mainly ornithopters, which is like a flyer scout. Water and authority is to... It's based on how you manage and also sort of take over the different villages, the surrounding areas, and then you've got your Landstrid standing, which is your faction's current political power within the Landstrid, which I think is to do with the different houses. Speaking of that, hegemony on the right hand side, when we get to a certain point, if you get to 2,000 you can build things on your starting location here, this big city. When you get to 5,000 you gain more bonuses, as shown here, 10,000 and then on to victory. Time controls on the top right there as well. It's real-time pausable, which I was a bit concerned with. I thought, oh, is it really? Yeah, okay, but it just works. I was thinking, oh, I thought, no, we'd be better surely with turn-based, but no, works perfectly fine. We got chats if we want to with the different factions here, so Vladimir Harkonnen, Esmar Tuk, and Leot Keynes. We can just talk to these, and you can do some trading. So it shows you what resources they really want, what they don't like, and your different treaties as well. So like trade agreement, research, non-aggression, but we need to research that. Operations, which I'll touch on later on, same as your research and developments. And then unit controls. So we've got this ornithopter, which is a very common type of transport vessel, and it is shown in here. So you can see we've got this ornithopter, and well, I'm going to tell it to go over there to scout this area out. As you can see, everything is all covered. We have no idea what's around, so we need to scout out. Because of that, I'm going to get another ornithopter, which costs 400 generic units of currency plus a couple of fuel cells. And military-wise, we've got Trooper Ranger, Heavy Weapon Squad, Support Drone, and Warden. The latter three I don't have unlocked. You need to research those. Curious that we don't have any other types of flyers. We don't have any vehicles of any description, really. And also no hero or special units. Anyway, I'll get to that later on. I'm going to go with a Trooper, which is a melee guy, and also a Ranger, which is ranged. I thought ranged was just a non-starter in the Dune universe. Everyone's got personal shields or whatever. Maybe these are just not as good or something. Who knows? Apparently, if you use a laser weapon against someone with a shield, it causes a thermonuclear explosion, which is suboptimal to say the least. I say suboptimal, it depends on what you're trying to achieve, right? Anyway, so what I'm going to do is scout the region out. So the regions are bounded. We can see here, there. So we've scouted this region out, so we know the full region, and then every region, for the most part, will have a little village somewhere, and normally it's on this hard surface. And then you've also got other question marks, sort of points of interest, which we can scout out with our ornithopters. So that's alright, we're going to crack on with that. That's actually a very good start because it's very close to here, which means if we come to take it over, it should be relatively easy. So we've got 2 units here. I'm going to bring them over. This is on 85% scanned, and once it's scanned we can see that we have another area. So that's Tassim acclaimed, I think, and I'm sure I've butchered that, I apologise. And when you click on the area, it shows you what bonuses it has. So Wave the Desert, 20% experience gains for all of your military units. That's when you're in this region. We also have a spice field and the settlement there. So it also shows their military. So they've got ranged militia and standard militia. So the civilians, they will panic under 50% health, so they get, yeah, panicky. Whereas ourselves, we have already started at a rank of level 2, so as you fight, you will have your veterancy increased on the units. I'm just going to unpause it there while this thing cracks on. You have things like your power, your health, your armor, which is what you reduce from being attacked, and then also supply. So when you're going outside of your area where you don't control an area, your supply will slowly dissipate, and that means that once it gets to 0, you start taking health damage. It is yeah, a little bit problematic in that sense. So there's been a scan over here. This is an abandoned Fremen camp. We can either study the track, so yeah, it says an old what? Harrig or something that has been abandoned for unknown reasons. Yeah, so it's just it's a settlement type thing. So we can either study the tracks or grab any materials. I'm going to grab the materials because I don't have the ability to do much else at this stage. And also I'm going to engage in combat. So I'm going to tell them to attack, and what happens is the militia come out and we will start to attack. However, because I'm so close to my main starting base, we should start yeeting missiles. Yep, there we go. There's a missile that comes out, and we've got support from this thing. So yeah, this thing does start with weapons. So we've had a very advantageous start here, which is good. This being House Atreides, we don't have to fight them. We could have taken over this place by diplomatic means. However, it does take a little bit longer. I'm going to send this guy over here because I want to scout around our area. We are on the northeast, so I want to try and scout to the back here. And also, we have, yeah, what I think is probably one of the most famous things in Dune, which is we have a sandworm that's been detected. So if you're fighting, or maybe even just wandering on the desert for too long, you will attract a sandworm. And yes, if you stay too long, om nom nom, you will lose those units. So I need to get those to a hard surface. There you go. You see all the sand all bubbling up? That's where the yeah, that's where the the sandworm is. So if I stay there, I will be eaten, basically, and it doesn't matter what veterancy your units are, it really doesn't care. It will eat up anything and everything around that area. It can eat multiple units as well in one go. Anyway, we have defeated the militia and we have options. So we have take control, which we will do. It costs 8 water and 28 authority. If you were another faction like, say, the Harkonnen, you can pillage it and just take... I don't think it's just the Harkonnen. I think it's just ourselves that can't pillage. Everyone else can. You just pillage it and take stuff from it, or you can liberate it if it's controlled by someone else. Over here, then, we've got our... grab any materials. I will resolve that, and then the Ornithopter's got, nothing else to do. I could put it on auto recon, which I may do in a moment, but for now we're just going to crack on. So we're scanning over here. This is going to be another area for us to find, and also it's quite a big region. That's fairly good. That's called the Bright of a Cliff, and oh, okay, so this is a deep desert. This thing is deadly. There's a thing called wind strength, which is shown on the bottom left. That's for generating water, and it's actually, this is pretty good then for generating water. However, this thing, although the wind is high, I don't think we can build on it, and also it has a deep desert, minus 300% daily supply drain. Basically, if you're trying to walk across this, you're not going to have a very good time. Anyway, I'm going to say getting started is now complete because I've found a village, and I'm also going to yeah, take control of the village with a spice field, which we've now done. So now we have managed to take control of this village. So naturally, what do we want to do? Well, we want to build a refinery that deploys a harvester to basically get the spice. You can only build on this sort of hard rock around the settlement, so we'll place it there. That should be sufficient. And these guys, I'm going to tell them to go back. They will slowly heal up as time progresses. We're only in a friendly area, but we're going to send them back over there. This guy is found, well, there's a question mark there, so we might as well have a quick scan. And we now have access to research. What I quite like is that you slowly are introduced to the mechanics, not just tutorial wise, but the research thing, it's called development, but it's research for the lack of a better term. Yeah, it brings it to you in like steps. So first you get your research, then you get I think it's the espionage and then the council, or one of the two anyway. It slowly introduces them to you as you progress on. Anyway, we have this area over here, which is, yeah, it's another set of locals, and oh, they got handymen there. Minus 20% building construction costs. Okay, and they also constructed 20% faster. We also have an energy source, and that means we have 50% fuel cell factory resource production. So we get a bonus for making fuel cells on this area. And also, if you are the Fremen, you can go for ceremonial caves. Now, I should point out that what is a curious decision is that when you're building, you can only have, as far as I can tell, one of each building there. So when you're building, I might say want a plastcrete factory, which normally produces, I think, 30 plastcrete. However, the area might say, oh, well, this area gains a big bonus to plastcrete construction. So it might get like 50% bonus, which means you would want to stack as many plastcrete things on that area. But as far as I can tell, you can't. You can only have one of each building. There might be slight advances here and there, but it means that you're actually quite limited in the managing of that, which is a curious decision. I would have thought that it basically means that every area will probably have the same amount of buildings. You'll have a plastcrete thing, you'll have a manpower building, you'll have a thing that generates water, and then some extras, which is it just doesn't give you the options that perhaps would be of some advantage other ways. Anyway, we've got another harvester wreck here, and I'm going to probably have a little search of that to get some spice out of it. I tend to say dust as well, so apologies. It's not dust, it is spice. Let me just resolve that, and this copter can go up here now. So this I could go and invade. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for peaceful annexation. So it costs 5 water and 51 authority, and it takes 15 days to basically peacefully take it over, which is exactly what we're doing. Over here we have, actually I'm going to build another trooper. Troopers are good. They have coordination, 10% power for each bonus received. So yeah, you want to try and stack those bonuses. Over here we've got grab the resources, which we've done, and let's just keep scouting out. So I'm going to scout north here, and we've got another area. This seems to be a great flat, it says, so we'll have a look over there. You do get very specific regions as well that have say natural wonders on there as well. Those are not too uncommon. Oh wait, we've got our harvester, which we need to deploy. So we call in the ship to pick it up, and then it's going to automatically take it over to where this spice is, and then drop it off. And oh, we're actually getting nighttime now. I haven't really mentioned the look of the game. I think it looks really good. It's got a bit of a cartoony thing going for it, which I know some people can take or leave. I think it does work. I do think it works, although I'm getting some sort of Endless Legend vibes off it. But yeah, it seems to work. The desert in particular is gorgeous, where you get like all the sparkling of the sand in like certain times of day, and then obviously when it goes to nighttime you get this sort of very big blue haze. I really like that. Anyway, we've got the ornithopter to scout about, and what's over here? We've got a crashed ornithopter. If we send over a military unit, we will get a scavenged ornithopter, so basically we'll have a temporary one of those. So I'm going to send someone over there, but because we don't control this region, we will start using our supply, but I should be able to get there and back without any great problem. Development has finished for the local dialect studies, so that's authority reduction. Sorry, it's authority cost minus 15% to annex villages. This is all a generic tree, apart from the ones that have your faction symbol, so Atreides, delegations, and new homeland, etc. As you can see, they've got that symbol there. I think I want to go with probably composite materials, reduction cost and stuff, and then also maybe processing plants, because there's certain resources you can find that is oh, that's very close, isn't it? That you can exploit. So we'll see how we get on there. We can also confirm our spice harvesting, and we are now generating some spice. So, our stockpile is 190. The current exchange rate is 1 spice to 2 Solari, and we can alter what we send. So we go for like a 20-80 split there. So I'm storing more of that. I'm actually going to probably sell quite a bit to increase my Solari, because that's not a bad exchange rate. Obviously, it's the default when you start. And oh, we have another ornithopter from the smugglers here. There you go. So they're going to be, I'm guessing, around here. Okay, so we'll have to see what we can do there. In this particular case, I'm going to try and be very friendly with them. But obviously, if I was another more militaristic faction like the Harkonnen, we may not need to. This here is curious. This has got 4 militia. It's got 2 range militia, 1 militia, and a demolition militia. Very hard to share. And also glass sculptors, which is 30% villagers plascrete and... Oh, okay, 30% of the villagers plascrete production as Solari. So that's what I mean. You would want to produce loads of plascrete in this area, but you can only place 1 building. So it's nice, but you would place them buildings anywhere anyway. So it doesn't really... I don't know, there's something about that that's just a little bit off. Anyway, over here, I'm going to get these guys to... well, we'll get that ornithopter in the air and then quickly turn around, because we've been losing our supply. And as you can see, the supply has gone to 0, and now we start losing health at a quite advanced rate. Anyway, continue scouting out. This is only a temporary ornithopter, I believe. I think it will fall out of the sky. I wouldn't say shortly, but it certainly can fall out of the sky. We have another abandoned Fremen camp here, which we can get some plascrete if we do so desire, which I probably am going to check that out. And, oh, hang on, we've now got minerals. This area contains a high amount of minerals. There you go, plascrete factory resource production increased. So I do want to take this over, and it is right next to me. This one is also next to me, but it doesn't have any great bonuses. Gain 20 Solari per enemy units dying in ally. Okay, right, so it's not really amazing, whereas that one is actually okay. So I'm going to send them over there to basically get those resources, and we're going to heal up. So we want to heal up here first. Water I am quite short on, so I need to get some more water. So the only way I can do that at this stage is to build a wind trap. Gain 3 water for each level of wind in the area. So in this case it's 3, so we'll get 9 water. So we'll just place that in the corner there. So this is, it's not really a good place for this, but I can always demolish the building, I think, later on. Can you? I assume you can. Yes, you can demolish the building. This is a better area for it because it's got 5 wind strength, and this one's got 5 wind strength. But, well, this is still being taken over, so I'm still waiting for things. That is being searched by whom? I can't see the copter. Oh, I wouldn't have thought that. I mean, I thought there was a research thing. It's not. That's actually some spice there. How curious. Anyway, we also now have espionage. So we have a agent. They have a trait. So we have +5 agent recruitment speed, and we can assign them to either one of the other factions, or to either Arrakis, the Spacing Guild, Chom, or Landstrad. Landstrad, should I say. In this particular case, I want to assign them to Arrakis, which will afford us 1 authority, 1 intel, and increase our Arrakis infiltration levels. The reason that's important is because you do missions like probing, poison reserves, using supply drops. All of these require a certain infiltration level, and later on, you've got things like infiltration cells, where you can... I think you can even do like atomics. There you go. Fires your atomics in the selected region, damaging units and devastating villages. Wow. I think you can even do, yeah, like sabotage and even, yeah, assassinations. Wow. So there might be a way to do that. So very few games have that, and also I can't think of many that start with it. So that's a positive there again. I'm going to, I think, scout out around here, because this is obviously coming into the fold eventually, so we'll do that. These guys are now being healed up. I'm going to tell them to engage over there. Oh, actually, no. Is there any point in doing that? If I was to attack now, I would be able to take it over. It only has 30 authority and requires 5 water. and we will be getting water shortly. So yeah, we can go ahead and attack that. One thing that's should be obvious, but is still worthy of mention, the copters can go where they want. They can fly over stuff. These guys can't. They have to follow the contours of the land. So this up here is quite a defensible position. There's only really 1-2 areas where people can get up. Whereas around here, you know you're not going to be attacked from that area. Unless obviously they have special things. Speaking of special things, that seems to be a Moon Dew Vale with greenery. Not something I expect to see in Dune, but there you go. Anyway, engaging combat, and yep, we can see the rockets are coming in. So we have got combat happening here. I might, for the sake of showing you it, have these guys eaten by a sandworm. Let's see if I can do just that. Because if we keep fighting and we don't move, the sandworm's going to turn up. And it'll om-nom-nom them, which is the technical term for, yeah, eating them. We have now composite materials. We're going to go with... that's not something we can really exploit. I think we're going to go for... water collectors. Water sellers contracts. Yeah, water sellers contacts. Reduction in water upkeep for our military units. Because water's potentially going to be an issue. It doesn't look like I'm going to... Sadly, yeah, I won't be able to show you that thing getting eaten just yet. These copters are actually doing nothing, so now I am going to turn them on to auto recon. Oh, there we go. There's a natural wonder type thing. This is the Well of Riches. It is a special region. 100% processing plant resource production allows the construction of a processing plant. Basically, you have one of those, you're going to get a lot of resource off it. And also gives you hegemony. There you go. This I can't take over. Oh, I was going to say I can't take over. I can now because we've just finished building over here. In terms of scouting, that's okay. This will be taken over shortly. You only get 2 building slots, but you can spend an additional 1. So an additional 100, 300. I think it's then 500 or 600. Basically, you can increase the slots by spending your plastcrete. And for this one, I'm going to get a recruitment office, which gives us extra manpower. So there you go. As I said, because we can't stack them, I'll just double check. Yeah, I'll receive my stuff back, which is good. So yeah, I can't place another refinery. You cannot build another building of that type, same as the wind tap. You cannot build another one of that type. You've got a water extractor, which requires water sellers contacts in a special region, and also a processing plant, which requires a special region. So it's shown some of these here, but we don't have access to them all. So yeah, there you are. Anyway, what was I going to do? It was a manpower production, which will go there. We've got construction is complete. Yeah, that is fine. We're on 450. That's the highest. Oh no, the Fremen are on 520. That guy can... Yeah, they're going to scan over there. That is totally fine. This is now going to come into the fold, which it now has done. And we want to get... Well, this is to do with plastcrete factory, so I guess we'll do that. So we want a plastcrete factory. So instead of being 30 plastcrete, it's now 45 plastcrete. And I also want to build another building shortly, which will be to do with water because the wind strength is 5. So that's pretty good. These guys, I'm going to bring them back over. And how are we doing for scanning? Oh, we've also got now a Harkonnen ship there. But I noticed that it's stealthed. It's all cloaked up. I couldn't see it after a certain point. Interesting. So, even though I'm seeing some of their ornithopters, I'm not seeing where they are. Raid detected. Okay, so you get random raids in the game, and that's what's happening here. The big downside is that I took this over by force, which means there's no militia on there because I didn't build any. This one, however, because I'm taking over diplomatically, we will keep the militia that's there. Luckily, my units are very close, so we don't really need to worry about this. We'll just send them over, and we'll deal with this raid. Eventually, you'll be able to see, I believe, where these raids are coming from. So I'm actually going to pull back a little bit, because, quite frankly, I've got my missiles that will come from this thing, so we're probably best on engaging them a bit closer. I could probably drag them closer to that, but I don't see much point. Those guys are going to be destroyed relatively quickly anyway. There is a... Oh yeah, there you go. There's the scavenged ornithopter from House Harkonnen. This guy is doing nothing. We're going to go for auto recon. And looks like we've defeated all these guys here. What rank are we now? We've got level 2. Progress to next level, 14 of 200. What about those guys? 22 of 200. And 22 of 200. Okay, so it's going to take quite a while. Let's take those back to the centre there. And let these guys crack on. We are now on negative plascrete. However, this should be built shortly. And now we're on positive plascrete. I want to get... Again, some more, I think, water, so we'll place that in there. That should be fine. And also, our manpower has gone over 50, which means you can assign additional people to the harvester. It costs 50 to get another crew, but it's going to take our spice production from 20 to 25, which is important. Because 25 is more than 20. More news at 11. I could build some more troopers if I had a bit more supply, but... Well, I don't. Oh, look at that! Flying formation. I like the sound as well they make. Look at all the sand shimmering. Very nice. We've got another unassigned agent, so I will assign them to... Probably... This is Mariam. Ah, this agent produces 100% more infiltration. Right, so we need to put them on a place that's doing infiltration. Ah. No. So yeah, they just infiltrate quicker. Let's put them on the Spacing Guild to increase manpower. And they'll infiltrate quicker. You can see the level of infiltration is going up there. I can build, if I want to, another ornithopter. No, I think it's best we save up for buildings. Speaking of that, this place has now been annexed. We are probably best getting some more water. There we go. And then we'll go for, most likely, fuel cell production. We have got Imperial tax in, well, less than a day. And if you don't pay it, well, I've never not paid it, but I know it's not good. Put it that way. We haven't had any problems with our spice harvesting yet. Let's just see what's happened here. So, Imperial tax has been paid. The next Imperial tax is 180. We've already got 189, so we're fine for the tax. The exchange rate has went from 1 to 2 to 1 to 2.1, so it's hardly changed. It's hardly changed. So we're going to keep the stockpile on what we have now. I mean, I'd like to go for that to get more spice. But am I going to do that? Probably not. There is a set of ruins there. Old village that has been abandoned long ago. I can, because I've got Arrakis infiltration level 1, I can send our agent there, and that will increase... Oh, we'll get a random accessible development increased by 2 days. Basically, one of these will be par researched. Let's go and do that. We've got a new Landstrat Council. So this is, again, introducing the different mechanics as things goes on. So this is the council stuff. There's certain titles you can hold, and once you get a number of them, you can go for the Dune governorship. After 60 days, you win the game politically. So this is, like, what's going to happen. So we're going to have a diplomatic congress, minus 30% influence, a gear regulation, which is minus 30% power, and infrastructure control. The elected faction gains 50% building construction cost reduction. So these are global things that will happen for everybody. We can either say, yes, we want that, or we don't want that. And then the latter one, which is the infrastructure control, that is going to be voted on by all members, including minor houses. And then, yeah, you can see that ourselves and the Harkonnen have votes, whereas the Fremen and smugglers don't. I think they still can get them. They can spend influence, and also there'll be stuff in their tree, I would imagine, to allow them to get votes here. But yeah, we can assign this one to someone. But that's in the next 6 days. We can't do anything at this stage. That seems to be randomly selected as well. You can't vote up or down different policies that you want to have a little chat. But yeah, There you are. Anyway, this village here is... We could take it over diplomatically. However, I think fighting is going to probably happen. Before that, however, I do want to get some veteran... Ooh, veteran militia are really expensive. So militia is 50 and 5, whereas that is 320. Yeah, I'm just going to get one militia and one range militia, and then I'm going to tell those guys to attack up the top, which is going to be obviously quite an easy job because we've got our missiles from here. We have the council on the way. Construction is complete up the top. Our research is complete. I'm going to go for probably, let me just pause it for a moment, survival training, so unlocks the military base building and also increases our supply by 50%. And a trade request from, this is the smugglers, so they want research agreements, and they will give us spice, intel, and money, and we will give them influence. I'm guessing they're trading this because they want to vote in the upcoming, and they don't have much influence. I will, however, accept that in good faith because I want to increase our relationship level. Once we get it over a certain point with the... with our guys, basically, we get more money and more help. So that's what it's all about, working together for the betterment of Arrakis. Or something like that, I don't know. We'll just wipe them out eventually. So, how are we doing over here? Pretty good. We've taken this over. Not too much of a drama. And let's take control of that village. So, we want to get also a couple more militia in here. Militia and ranged militia. Does cost manpower, but that's just what we have to accept. And I want to go with a fuel cell plant. There you go. So, as I mentioned about the regions, they can generate different things, or they have bonuses based on the either the village itself or the region. So, generally, you'll just stack a particular set of buildings anyway. Like every area will probably have a particular set of buildings with a couple of changes, but it will inform your build order, certainly. And oh, we've got a harvester that is under attack, or potentially under attack. This is a sandworm detected. Now, I would love to show you the sandworm, but I'm not going to have my harvester being eaten to show you that. Obviously, we'll probably see it with the infantry, but no, we need to pick the harvester up, so we call in the carryall, and then it picks it up and takes it back, so we don't need to worry about that. 2 more days until the council put those guys back. So where do we go from here? We've got many areas we can potentially go to. This area again is quite small. That's an old gap, it's called. This one's pretty good. This has got rare elements which we can extract it with a processing plant. The problem is to get to it, it's quite a walk, and they have 3 units there. Okay. Yeah, we'll see about that later on. I could diplomatically take it over. +1 manpower production. You need 70 authority though, and I'm only getting 4 a turn. Yeah, so I'm not going to have a good time of it on that one. We shall see anyway. This area we have taken over, so buildings-wise, we have extra salary per enemy for dying units. Nothing it's really going to affect us. Wind is only strength 2, so I'm not going to bother placing stuff that generates water. However, I will place probably... Hang on. 1... No, we can't get that. There's one building, it's called... Where is it? The Maintenance Centre. All adjacent regions get minus 30% salary upkeep and plus Crete upkeep. So that would be 1, 2, 3 neighbouring regions. Yeah, I think we're going to go for a maintenance centre. That should help us out a little bit. This one, yeah, it's a shame that it doesn't connect up there. Yeah, that's fine anyway. So, council votes. Influence production reduced by 30%. I do not want that. Unit power. I'll support it, why not? And the elected faction gains building reduction costs. I'm going to vote myself and put all of my votes towards that. So even though I don't want this, and I do want this, I'm putting no votes in, so it's not going to matter. I can, after I've got my votes, I can then put influence in it as well to overpower it. But for now, I think that is fine. And let's see what other people get as well. Construction is now complete up here, so that's good. And Plascrete is okay, but ooh, look at that. Solari is not. Oh, because of course I've not deployed my harvester. I need to deploy it again. We've also got some convoys here. A group of famous sculptors settled in your city. We can either take control of 2 villages to get the effect, or give them a grand. Okay. That's problematic because it takes 15 days to take over diplomatically. Look at that, that's the shield wall. This is a special region. It requires 70. I think they're all going to require 70. 68. 62. I'm only getting 4. I'm going to have to take them over militarily. Okay. Let's get another ranger. Why not? And then we'll go and take over one of these areas. Probably this one, even though it's a bit further away. I'll try my best. Oh, we've lost an ornithopter. I think that was one of the temporary ones that we managed to find. Council voting, 5 more days there. How are we doing over here? Study the local customs. And that's advancement. I'm not sure whether you get more random these pop-ups here, the little events that you get. I don't know if they randomly appear after you've discovered them. Like, so I've cleared that one. Will one come there later on? I think it might. For research, we've got water trade. Solari production increases by 20% of the available water. I've got good water, so I'm going to pick up that water trade because it's also half researched. I say half, a little bit researched. So we'll see about that one. In terms of any operations, so these is where you have to plan them. So you can go for 50 intel. We'll give you probe, and you can basically find out somewhere on the map what's got what. Oh, is that the centre? Yeah, this is the polar sink. North Pole of Arrakis, the only place where water can be found in significant quantities, although in frozen forms. Yeah, but it also gives you 1,000 hegemony, and ours for the water extractor. So there's enough to see there in terms of extra sort of regions with little features in there as well. Well, not so much little for that one, but you get the idea. So we're going to attack over on the right hand side.
We're focused.
Let's do it now, I guess. I can't take this over if I attack it, but I can go over and... Oh yeah, is there any point? I might as well wait a little bit until we've got more authority. Construction completed up here. That is the maintenance centre. So anyway, I can get authority. Knowledge, influence, hegemony, intel. Don't really need any more manpower at this stage. I mean, Plascrede's good. Fuel cell, no. Influence, knowledge. Knowledge would be good. Let's go for that. Okay, let's head over. We've got 60. We might be able to do this. Although we probably will fail, because if I am going to be attacked by a sandworm, I'm going to show you that. Going to show you what it looks like. Just for the sake of, you know, demonstrating that as well. We've got militia over there. We don't have militia here, so I will recruit a couple of militia there. Demolition units basically reduce the armour that the opponents have. But most range units, I think, all have a pinned down thing. If they are in melee, they half their fight value. So crossing the desert, losing supply, and obviously we'll be losing supply when we fight. There's the Landstrid Council results. So gear regulations and diplomatic congress has been supported, and the infrastructure has been given to the Fremen. Apparently the Fremen had 82 on their side. Well, they put 82 into that, and 42 of the 400 votes from the minor houses voted for it. We put 100 in ours, but only 18 of the minor houses agreed with us, and then it's like Harkonnen and smugglers. So sadly, we're not going to get that building cost reduction. But there you are. Anyway, in combat. Here we go. Range units going to stand off. Those guys are going to go in. And taking a fair bit of damage without actually doing anything back. Why are they doing this weird shuffle? Every time they get attacked, they're moving along. So I think we will end up losing a unit potentially here. There's a sandworm. Okay, so we are going to be attacked from a sandworm. I'm going to move some of my units away because I don't want to be eaten. Actually, I do want to be eaten by one of those guys. I want to see what the deal is there. I want to show you what happens. We can still engage in combat. And, oh, there we go. And that's the sandworm. So we didn't move out in time, which means the sandworm is going to gobble up all of those troops. And there it goes. It is gone. That is what happens when you don't respect the sandworm. Oh, it's still there. It's still coming towards us. We need to skirt round and get onto a hard surface. There we go. And continue fighting. I think we may end up winning this fight. I thought it was unlikely, but it looks like it's going to happen. Up here, then, I'm also going to put extra manpower production because I think I'm going to need that. And where's the other sandworm? Oh, it's still there. There has been a couple of times when I've been playing and it says, oh, there's sandworms here, and I've been nowhere near it, so I didn't have the symbols near the units, and they've still been destroyed, which is a bit of a shame. When I say a bit of a shame, I mean terrible. But there you go. Looks like we will be able to take over this village. We've got another unassigned agent, which I will assign to probably Shorm. I mean, obviously you can focus on infiltrating one faction first and go that way, or you can go for the way I've done it, which is a bit sort of slapdash in a sense. Let me take over that village. But yeah, that is basically, at this stage of the game, that's the majority of the operations that you will be performing. You'll be scouting out, finding different things to research and exploit. I'm going to choose to extort a fine on the water cellar caravan there. And you've got, obviously, the combat. You've got the main Dune thing, which is gathering spice, or dust, as I'm sure I've called it several times in this video. And we can also now confirm that one. Yeah. So, that's been a bit of Dune Spice Wars. So, thoughts at this stage? Well, firstly, presentation is immaculate. I mean, this is day 2 of its release, and it's extremely slick. It's extremely slick. Most of what you need to know, if not all, is available very quickly with just a mouse over. The tutorial is simple, but tells you enough to jump into it. As I said, within a couple of hours, I was getting the game. I'm not feeling the flow of it yet, but that I'm assuming will come later on. You've got a fairly generic, but decent tech tree. You've got lots of options for all of this. The council stuff is alright, I guess. I've not really dealt with it a lot, but it seems to do the job and gives you gives you stuff to micromanage, which is not normally a good thing, but I like that you can do basically blinding influences across everybody, and it's quite powerful what you can engage with. Espionage. I know games that haven't got this and have been out years, and it's something I find that is forgotten, but it's in as standard, and it's powerful. You can assassinate entire faction leaders and do like atomics and defensive sabotage, loads of stuff. Even things like supply drops are so useful. So yeah, I'm glad that's in the game. In terms of looks, I think it does look very pretty. And look at all this, at least just glittering in the night there. And yeah, the cartoony look. Yeah, some people will probably not be too happy with that. I think it works fine. I can't see any big problem with it. Big problems. Are there any big problems? Maybe. The mid-game is a bit slow. And late game... Oh, there's a raid here. And late game... Well, I've not won one yet. So, late game, not really too sure. Can't speak for the AI or balance, but obviously it's been early access. I'm going to assume, perhaps wrongly, that there probably will be some balance issues, and yeah, that's all be part of the course with an early access game. Couple of downsides. This combat here is not all that interesting. There's not many tactical decisions I have to make. That's fine. It's about what I bring and when I bring it. And it's more of a logistical problem rather than... logistical and deployment problem rather than a sort of moment-to-moment tactics problem. This raid's happening here. That's fine because my units are here. If it was happening over there with 3 units, I might have some problems. And I have to trudge through a desert to get back. Now, later on, you can have buildings, like, say, for example, can't because it's in combat, bad example. You've got buildings like airfields, so you can embark and disembark, and you've got more speed increases in your like research stuff. But, yeah, you really need to think about where you're going to field stuff. So, that's a point. But because of the limited number of units, I mean, in this stage, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units, that's it. No big flyers, no spaceship type stuff, no vehicles. I don't know whether that is because of law or because of choice for the game. But still, the end result is very few units, which, to be fair, they are all different between factions, so there's that. And no hero units as well. I know we've got our faction leader and the sort of council members, but there's like no hero units on the table. So if I go to things like Endless Legend, for example, you've got hero units and things. I mean, even, you know, you've got more RPG-ish mechanics with like Crusader Kings and like Stellaris and stuff. You've got more story there. This just seems to be missing that little extra. Maybe on purpose, maybe early access, don't know. Not really necessarily a bad thing. It's just, it is what it is. But yeah, that's the game. My main takeaway is that how polished and playable it feels at this stage. As for longevity, like I say, probably close to 6 hours now played on the game, and still wanting to play more. All the factions, let's say, asymmetrical, so gonna have fun trying them all out. Fifth one is planned, multiplayer is planned, campaign is planned, and hopefully we'll see more improvements, more enhancements, balance, etc. as it goes by. But, as we probably well know, that's all based on how much it sells. So, are they going to add all of this? Hopefully. Will it be there? Couldn't say. But for now, I'm happy with what I've seen, and I'm enjoying it. If you like what you see, by all means, check the link out in the description. It's not a sponsored video, but I did request and receive a code from the publishers. Like I say, I'm going to be playing some more, and yeah, it seems to be a fairly decent title at this stage. Let's see what happens in the future, and time will tell. I may do a follow-up if I've played a lot more and there's some major issues. I will correct if that is appropriate. But that's it and done. Hope you have enjoyed this video. Comments in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. Take care, and generic partings.